Hey groovy people! So I'm going to be taking a road trip soon, and I decided I wanted to take some time to create a video about traveling with Mal de Debarquement Syndrome. Anybody who has MdDS knows that traveling with Mal de Debarquement Syndrome can be a very scary thing. The reason for that is because the onset to our illness was usually travel. And there's different tips and tricks that I can use to help lessen the increase in symptoms or to help make my traveling a little bit more comfortable for me. Road tripping is usually my safest form of travel. I definitely noticed that it increases my symptoms a little bit temporarily, but I wanted to share with you some of the things that I do to cope with that and also some of the things that I do to lessen that increase in symptoms. Number one, you want to reduce the amount of stress that's on you right before you travel. Sometimes that's not always possible because sometimes we have to travel for an emergency. Any kind of planning and reservations that you can get done ahead of time so that you don't have to stress out about it right before you're about to hit the road and go traveling is gonna reduce your stress. If your stress is lower, your symptoms are gonna be lower. Anybody who has this knows that an increase of stress usually immediately causes an increase in our symptoms. Now, here's some tips to keep in mind when you are booking a hotel room. A lot of us have increased symptoms when we're in the shower or in small enclosed spaces. So think about requesting or reserving a handicap room. Those rooms usually have slightly larger showers and slightly larger bathroom areas, which will cause a lower spike in your symptoms while you're using the shower or using the bathroom while you're at the hotel. Another thing that you want to think about is if you are triggered by riding on elevators, then you might want to think about reserving a room on the floor level so that you don't have to use the elevator, or requesting a room that's on one of the lowest floors available. That way it would be easy for you to just climb one flight of stairs, or maybe it will be a little less of a trigger for you if you're only having to ride the elevator a short distance. So just keep in mind those few things while you are booking your reservations for your hotel will definitely help make your stay there a little bit more comfortable. If you're going to be traveling on a plane or boat or train, you might want to do a little bit of research about where are the recommended areas for you to sit. I know that riding a plane, you don't want to be in the back, you want to be near the wings or the front, and you definitely want to have a window seat so that your vestibular system is able to take in kind of the visual movement that's actually happening. And something to keep in mind if you are road tripping and you have an option to reserve a rental car and choose the type of car that you would want, a smoother ride will definitely be more comfortable for you and cause you lesser increased symptoms once you reach your destination. If you're not already taking medications but you are concerned about an increased spike in symptoms when traveling, you might want to plan to have a doctor's appointment before your travel so that you can see if they would recommend that you take something during the travel or before or after the travel to help reduce those symptoms or to help lessen that risk. So those are all things that you can do ahead of time. Now I've got all that stuff out of the way. I have 3 more weeks until my trip, but I still want to reduce any kind of last minute stressors I could cause on myself. So one thing to think about is packing. You want to create a packing list ahead of time. We tend to be very scatterbrained and have really, really bad memories. We don't want to be all scatterbrained packing everything at the last minute. So what I'm gonna do over these next few weeks is create a list of all the things that I want to pack. Sometimes I do find it helpful to go ahead and start packing some of those basic essentials ahead of time so that I'm not having to put in all of that physical work at the last minute. So if I do pack an item ahead of time, I want to make sure that I check it off of my list, because the last thing I want to be doing is unpacking and repacking my suitcase at the last minute just to see what I did and didn't pack, because I know that I'm gonna forget. Another thing that I want to keep on this list over these next few weeks are little things that I remember that I need to take care of before I leave. I want to make sure that I tie up all my loose ends so that I'm not stressing about anything while I'm traveling or stressing about anything at the very last minute. Sorry, my cat keeps meowing. 3 weeks gives me plenty of time to make sure that I've thought about all the minor details. So I'm going to catch up on this video, and when you see me next, it'll be a little bit closer to my travel date, and I'll have my packing list and my to-do list all set, and some of it will probably even be done. Hey guys, I'm back. It's been about a week since the last video clip, so now I have 2 weeks before I leave for my vacation. I just want to update you. I'm all done with creating my packing list that I need to follow. I've also created a list of some of my favorite items that I like to travel with that help me deal with the symptoms of Mal de Debarquement Syndrome while I'm traveling and help lessen some of my symptom spikes while I'm away on my vacation. I think just a few things that help make vacationing and traveling a little bit more comfortable for me. I've also got a whole list of stuff that I needed to pack in my cosmetic bag and in my toiletry bag. So since those were both long lists within themselves, I decided to go ahead and get those ready ahead of time so that all I need to do is throw them into my suitcase when I'm ready to go. So my cosmetic bag is all ready to go. Everything's in here that I'm going to need for my trip, and then my toiletry bag is all ready to go as well. So when I'm ready to start packing over these next couple weeks, I'm just going to throw them in and be all set. I've also started knocking items off of my to-do list, so just a few more things to do within these next few weeks before I leave for my trip. This is just part 1 of the little mini series that I'm doing on traveling with Mal de Debarquement Syndrome, so make sure that you subscribe and stay tuned for part 2, which is going to be a deep dive into some of my favorite items to bring with me when I travel, and then some tips and tricks and different exercises to do while you're actually traveling and out on the road. See you guys next time.